Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a shocking and symbolic event that's shaking both Moscow and the Kremlin's carefully built narrative. On Vladimir Putin's birthday, Ukraine struck deep into Russian territory, over 200 kilometers inside Russia, in what analysts are calling one of Kyiv's most daring and humiliating blows against the Russian president to date. This wasn't just a military strike. It was a direct psychological message, a reminder that even Putin's homeland isn't safe anymore. The timing, precision, and audacity of this operation have left both Russian citizens and the global community stunned. Reports indicate that multiple explosions rocked industrial and military facilities across several regions deep inside Russia. These weren't border skirmishes or drone attacks near Belgorod or Kursk, but deep, penetrating strikes hitting strategic targets far from the front lines. Ukrainian intelligence reportedly coordinated these long-range drone attacks using newly developed systems that bypassed Russian radar defenses. Some even say that Western intelligence and satellite surveillance played a role in guiding these drones. The result? Fires, panic, and the undeniable reality that Russia's so-called secure heartland is now within Ukraine's reach. For Putin, this couldn't have come at a worse time. His birthday is usually a moment filled with orchestrated celebrations, loyal messages from allies, and propaganda about his supposed strength and control. But this year, that illusion shattered. Instead of pride, there was humiliation. Instead of showing power, he was forced to watch his country burn from within. Russian social media exploded with disbelief. Citizens filmed plumes of smoke rising from key facilities, while state media scrambled to either downplay the incidents or completely hide them. Military experts have described this as a masterclass in psychological warfare. Ukraine didn't just hit targets, it hit Putin's pride. The strike symbolized that nowhere in Russia is untouchable anymore. Kyiv's message was clear: you can invade our land, but we can reach yours too, even on your most celebrated day. This moment isn't just about explosions. It's about symbolism, morale, and the collapse of Putin's myth of invincibility. The targets reportedly included oil depots, airfields, and even radar installations used to monitor Ukrainian drone and missile activity. Russian air defense systems, once thought to be some of the best in the world, appeared completely overwhelmed. Videos surfaced online showing anti-aircraft guns firing wildly into the sky, missing drones that still reached their destinations. The result was a devastating image of vulnerability, one that Putin's regime has tried to suppress for months. Ukraine's growing ability to strike so deep shows how far their military innovation has come since the start of the war. A year ago, few would have imagined that Ukrainian-made drones could travel thousands of kilometers to hit targets near Moscow, let alone beyond. But Kyiv has been investing heavily in long-range drone programs, using both domestic innovation and Western cooperation. They've built drones capable of flying at low altitude, avoiding radar, and delivering precise payloads to sensitive sites. These are not random attacks. They are carefully chosen messages, each one designed to undermine the Kremlin's false sense of security. Meanwhile, Russian commentators and military bloggers, usually loyal to the Kremlin, have started expressing outrage and fear. Many are openly criticizing the Ministry of Defense for failing to stop these incursions. Some even question whether Russia's Air Defense Command is functioning properly. Telegram channels that normally echo Kremlin propaganda are now filled with anger and despair. How can we call this a secure country if drones fly across 2,000 kilometers unhindered? One post read, "Inside the Kremlin, the mood reportedly turned tense. Putin was said to have been briefed immediately as the strikes unfolded." Sources close to Moscow insiders describe him as furious, pacing, and demanding explanations. For a leader who built his image on control and power, this was personal humiliation. His birthday turned into a nightmare, not a celebration. The symbolism is haunting. The man who started a war to project strength is now exposed as vulnerable in his own backyard. Analysts are calling this one of Ukraine's boldest statements since the war began. It's not just about the damage done, but about the psychological impact on Russian leadership and the people. The strikes remind the world that Ukraine is not only surviving but adapting, evolving, and learning to use Russia's weaknesses against it. They've turned the tables. The hunted have become the hunters. What makes this moment even more powerful is that it coincides with growing discontent inside Russia. The economy is struggling under sanctions. Soldiers and their families are protesting mobilization. Regional governors are facing criticism for corruption and incompetence. Now, with these deep strikes, the population is forced to confront a new reality. Their country isn't safe anymore. For many Russians who believed Kremlin propaganda that the war was far away, the explosions they now hear are a chilling wake-up call. Ukrainian officials have not directly taken responsibility for every attack, but their statements leave little doubt. Presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak posted a cryptic message saying, "When evil celebrates itself, justice sometimes sends fireworks." This single line set social media ablaze, clearly referencing the attacks coinciding with Putin's birthday. Kyiv is using both military precision and psychological mastery to keep Russia off balance. Western analysts see this as part of a broader Ukrainian strategy, one aimed at breaking Russian morale and forcing Putin into defensive chaos. By demonstrating reach deep inside Russian territory, Ukraine forces Moscow to divert resources away from the front lines to protect its interior. Every drone and missile that targets a depot or factory deep in Russia weakens the logistical chain that feeds its war machine. It's not just about explosions, it's about choking the enemy's capacity to fight. The timing couldn't be worse for Putin on the international stage. Just days before his birthday, he tried to project a sense of calm and control in a televised speech, promising victory and claiming that the Russian economy was thriving despite Western sanctions. Those claims now look laughable. Instead of victory, he got embarrassment. Instead of strength, he got exposure, and instead of fear, Ukraine gave him something else entirely: defiance. Even inside Ukraine, the mood was electric. Citizens celebrated the symbolic success online, calling it a gift for Putin. Memes, messages, and patriotic videos flooded social networks, highlighting Ukraine's determination. For a nation that's endured invasion, blackouts, and missile barrages, this moment felt like justice. A reminder that resilience pays off. On the military front, Ukraine's ability to strike at such distances also carries significant implications for future warfare. It shows that Kyiv's drone industry is no longer just a defensive tool, but an offensive weapon capable of rewriting the rules of modern conflict. And Western defense experts say Ukraine's homegrown technology is proving to be one of the most effective countermeasures against Russia's larger military machine. It's David's slingshot upgraded with 21st century engineering. Meanwhile, the Russian government is doing everything it can to suppress the truth. State TV has downplayed the incidents, calling them minor fires or accidents. But citizens know better. Videos of the attacks, smoke columns, and explosions are impossible to hide. Russian internet users are increasingly turning to Telegram, YouTube, and foreign media to find out what's really happening. That, in itself, is a massive failure for Putin's information control. Every strike erodes his image. Every fire deep inside Russia tells the people that their leader can't protect them, and that's what makes this attack so devastating. It isn't just physical damage, it's the psychological unraveling of Putin's empire of fear. A dictator thrives on control, and Ukraine just showed the world that he's losing it, piece by piece. Even Russian allies abroad have noticed the shift. China, India, and others who have maintained cautious ties with Moscow are quietly reassessing their positions. They see that the war Putin promised would be quick has turned into a disaster. His inability to protect his own territory makes him look weak, unreliable, and isolated. For a man obsessed with power and image, this is the ultimate insult. Ukraine's timing also shows its deep understanding of information warfare. By striking on Putin's birthday, they turned what should have been a propaganda celebration into a global humiliation. The message reached far beyond the battlefield. It hit every news outlet, every government briefing, and every political analyst watching the war. The symbolism couldn't be ignored. As the war continues, this incident marks a turning point in perception. Ukraine is no longer just defending itself. It's taking the fight into the enemy's heart. It's demonstrating strategic intelligence, resilience, and creativity that few expected when the war began. Russia, despite its size and resources, is looking increasingly desperate, scrambling for Iranian drones, cutting off citizens' internet, and issuing vague threats about retaliation. But every threat sounds emptier than the last. Putin's once proud image as the strongman of Russia now looks like a hollow shell. His speeches ring with insecurity, his generals are demoralized, and his people are restless. The man who promised to restore Russia's greatness is now the leader of a country under siege from within, and Ukraine, with limited resources but limitless courage, is proving that spirit and intelligence can outmatch brute force. This birthday strike will go down in history as a defining moment, not just of war, but of symbolism. It's the moment Ukraine turned Putin's personal celebration into his public humiliation. It's the day when the world saw the cracks in the Kremlin's armor widen beyond repair. And it's the reminder that no matter how powerful an autocrat believes himself to be, he can never escape the consequences of his own aggression. Ukraine's message was crystal clear. This is not just about territory or power. It's about justice, survival, and defiance. And on the day that Vladimir Putin wanted the world to celebrate him, the world instead watched his empire burn. What happens next remains uncertain, but one thing is undeniable. The psychological tide of this war has shifted. Ukraine is no longer the one reacting. It's leading. The world is watching a smaller nation stand tall against one of the biggest military powers and strike at the heart of tyranny itself. And if this attack is any sign of what's coming, Putin's problems are only just beginning. Because this wasn't just a surprise, it was a statement. A statement that Ukraine can and will reach into the depths of Russia to remind Putin that his war has consequences, even on his birthday.